Why should people hire you instead of somebody else? That's a really important question to answer. What are the concrete reasons that a buyer or a seller should hire you? You should have answers for that. But what I find is many of us have a hard time articulating our value. Many of us have a hard time giving people the concrete reasons why they should hire us instead of the next person. There's a lot of pain and suffering as a result, okay? There's a lot of pain and suffering when people don't have a concrete reason of why you're better than the next person. Welcome to the Chris and Garry Show. My name's Chris Scott. Normally, I'd be joined by my partner in crime, Garry Kreth, but he's not around today. In fact, I'm not sure where he's at. Just kidding. He went on a listing appointment yesterday, and I haven't heard from him. So I should probably check on him after this episode. Well, we like to talk about all things real estate, and we think we have a thing or two to contribute because between the two of us, we've been selling real estate for over 50 years. And if you like what we're talking about today, because we're going to be talking about something super important to all of us in real estate or really any service professional, if you like what we're talking about and you want to take the conversation to the next step, check us out online at thepaperlessagent.com or follow us on Instagram at thepaperlessagent. Let's dig in. What are the concrete reasons that a buyer or a seller should hire you? Concrete reasons, like what are the distinct reasons that they should hire you instead of somebody else? And you should have answers for that. You should be able to say, people hire me instead of my competition because A, B, and C, or whatever the reasons or concrete reasons they are. The epidemic that I feel is pervasive in our industry, and that's actually not just in real estate, it's in all service professionals. And if you don't have those reasons at the top of mind for you, you're also not promoting it. You're not articulating. Something I like to do in our live presentations that I give is I'll poll people and I'll ask people, hey, describe for me in as few words as possible, how would people describe your reputation, right? And people will usually list off things like, I'm honest, I'm hardworking, I'm trustworthy, I'm a good negotiator. But a missing word that I oftentimes find is that no one mentions real estate. When people think of you, they should probably think of real estate. That's part of articulating our value and promoting our value on a regular and consistent basis. And the reason why I say it's an epidemic, the epidemic is the skill and ability at being able to give people concrete reasons why they should hire us instead of somebody else. If you've been selling real estate for a while, meaning 20, 30, 40 years, then you'll know, or you probably know, that things have changed over the last several decades. So it used to be in the past where, as a real estate professional, you really could just work hard to take care of your clients and hope that they would refer and recommend and basically amplify your reputation for you in the marketplace. And over time, good things would happen. But that's really not the case anymore. And you might wonder why. What has changed so much? Well, there's a lot of us in real estate now. In fact, if you were to look and do the math, if you look at, I think there's roughly 350 million people in the United States of America, total population. And there's approximately 1.5 million members of the National Association of Realtors. Well, that means that that means that for every 230 some people, there's a real estate agent. That means, because I use the entire U.S. population, that for every 200 men, women, and children, there is a real estate professional there available to serve. And the fact of the matter is, as a real estate professional, you need more than 233 people in your database to survive. The numbers are actually much worse, though, because 350 million people are not moving every single year. In fact, the population on average of people who are going to move in existing home sales is roughly around 5 million, right? I think this year it's going to trend lower, but between 4.5, 5 million, that's how many people are going to move. So if you do the math on that and say, well, 5 million divided by 1.5 million realtors, that means every real estate agent, if you divide that math, gets 3 deals, roughly 3 deals, three transactions to their name. And obviously we can't survive off of 3 deals. But because there's so many of us, that means we have to get good at articulating our value. If you've ever been asked the question, will you discount your fees? Will you discount your commission? Chances are you haven't done a very good job at giving that person, giving that prospective seller the concrete reasons of why they should hire you instead of another listing agent. The good news is there are some relatively easy solutions out there, ways or methods for us that we can use to articulate our value a little bit more easily. I think that a big reason that we don't articulate our value well, or that we don't pursue articulating our value well, is it's kind of uncomfortable if you're not sure what you're doing. Might feel like boasting. If you're not skilled in articulating your value, then chances are you might say something and be a bit of a goat, the greatest of all time. And what'll happen is it'll sound like boasting, because it is. An unskilled person articulating their value oftentimes sounds like they're boasting. It might sound like this: I'm number one. I'm the best, right? Work with me because no one else is gonna, like, I'm the best there is. Those are reasons that you're giving. They're just not concrete. Saying I'm number one, saying I'm best, saying I'm top. Those things don't translate into consumer terms and values all that well. But rather what we need to do is to articulate our value. We need to address the real concerns that in our industry, buyers and sellers, we have to address the real concerns that they have. Those real concerns are what they're basing their hiring decision off of. There are 3 tools or tricks or hacks, I like to call them, for articulating our value or giving people concrete reasons and why they should hire us. And the 3 things are tools, all right? And I'm going to give you some examples, but tools, education, and marketing, right? These 3 things, and there's a lot of overlap between these 3 things. A tool could be marketing, and marketing could be education, right? So these 3 things overlap. But I'm going to give you 3 concrete tools, education, and marketing examples that you can use to be able to fashion and put together your own process, your own method, your own way of giving people concrete reasons why they should hire you, aka articulating your value more effectively in the future so that you can get more listings, so that you can get more clients. The first of these are tools. I am always on the lookout for tools that I could use in my professional practices. The reason why is that tools can turn us into a bit of a superhero. Has anybody ever watched Iron Man, and the little AI thing that Iron Man talks to be able to do all kinds of stuff, the Jarvis, right? Well, that's a tool that Iron Man uses to be a superhero, in addition to the suit that he's wearing that also makes him a superhero. And so I'm always looking for the tools to be able to help me be a super real estate professional. And one of those tools is a property marketing plan, okay? I'll show you an example. If you go to my website, you'll see that we have this property marketing plan. And a property marketing plan is exactly like what it sounds like. A plan to market a property, okay? So scrolling down, you can see there's a lot of great information. People can book a consultation. Really what we're trying to do is to show people that the process of marketing a listing, the process of finding a buyer for your home, the process for selling the home is a lot more complex and complicated than people realize. In fact, the process of selling a home is far more than just putting a sign in the yard, putting in the MLS, and then praying that it sells. And yet there are a lot of people who essentially use that model for marketing listing. But rather what we do is we explain everything that we're going to do, the kitchen sink of marketing. We want to let them know we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Then from here, we're going to do that. All the things that are involved with marketing listing, a prospective client, a prospective seller client, they need to know that we do this. And when they do know more of what we do, well, one, that is exactly how we articulate and communicate our value. It's letting people know what goes on behind the scenes. It's letting people know the full scope and extent of what we're going to do for them so that they can interpret that, and so that we might have to interpret it for them even, of how they're going to benefit in working with me in a real estate transaction. So this property marketing plan is going to speak to all the innovative marketing methods that we're going to use to market their home, find a buyer for their home. And those are every single point in here is a concrete reason why they should hire us instead of somebody else. And so we actually like to share this property marketing plan as part of our pre-listing packet. That's the information we send to the seller client before we go on an appointment with them, before we go on the listing presentation. And so what we're doing by sharing our property marketing plan with that prospective seller before the listing appointment is we're helping to seed that conversation. We're giving them all the concrete reasons why they should hire us, before the actual appointment. What a novel idea. A lot of people are afraid to share their property marketing plan. Whenever I talk with folks and say, hey, you should send your property marketing plan to prospective sellers. And they'll say, well, do you have a listing agreement signed with them? And I say, no. That's why we're going to do it, is to secure that listing appointment, to secure that listing opportunity, to secure that listing agreement by sharing with them our value. Because, I get how you might be afraid to share your property marketing plan with a prospective seller. But know that what you're doing is letting the competition scare you into not articulating your value. It's letting the competition scare you into not giving that seller the concrete reasons why they need to hire you. Okay? That's why we like to share this information. Another example of a tool to articulate our value is our actual listing presentation. That's right. Our listing presentation contains information within it that can serve as a tool to communicate and articulate our value. I'm going to share with you one example from our own listing presentation. Your listing presentation, at least the way we design our listing presentation, is a series of questions and conversations that need to happen for that prospective seller, for them to not just feel good about hiring us, but for them to feel as though we are the only people that they should be hiring to work with, right? And so what we need to do is articulate our value in such a way where they feel like they need to hire us. So our listing presentation has all of the conversations that are necessary to answer the background questions that they have in their mind. One of them is to answer the question of how we get results. See, in our listing presentation, we make some pretty bold promises. We like to compare how we do in the market compared to how the average is. And once we go from that, because if you were to compare our results to the market average, you're going to see that we sell homes faster and we tend to sell homes for more compared to the average in our market. So once we make that bold promise, we have to follow that up with, well, how do we do that? How do we get those results? And so in our listing presentation, we have a slide to answer that question. How do we get results? Here's how the narrative sounds, right? This is the dialogue or the talking point. Again, this is just a tool. The conversation is a tool to articulate our value. So here's how the conversation works. When we get to this slide in our listing presentation, we'll say, hey, have you heard of the 3 P's of marketing or the 3 P's of selling real estate? And they may or may not say yes or no. I say, well, you can see here the 3 P's. Well, actually, like what I like to do is explain the old 3 P's. You see, today we have the new 3 P's, but there's the old 3 P's of selling real estate. See, back in the old days, people, when, a listing agent, when they would get the listing agreement signed, the first thing that they would do is they'd put a sign in the yard, right? So that's the first P. They would put a sign in the yard. The second P is they would put that listing into the MLS. And then the third P is they would pray that that listing sells, right? And unfortunately, that's the old way of doing real estate. Unfortunately, too many people are still doing the old way because they could get away with it. There recently was a market that allowed them to get away with that practice. Well, that's not how we do it at our firm. At our firm, we adhere to the new 3 P's of marketing real estate, or the new 3 P's of selling real estate. And that is preparation, pricing, and promotion. You see, it is the combination of these 3 elements in preparing the home to put it into its best possible condition, in pricing the home in the market to make sure that we appeal to the largest group of people who will then drive that price up, and then promoting that home in all the effective ways so that we can generate buyer demand for your listing. So that is how the new way of selling real estate, and that's what's articulated in my property marketing plan that I shared with you before our appointment. So time out. You see what I've done here is I've anchored to what their fear is. I've anchored to their fear of I will do nothing except for put a sign in the yard and hope that it sells. And I've contrasted that with what we're going to do, which is preparation, promotion, and pricing. And then I've connected it to the property marketing plan that I shared with them as part of our pre-listing package. That is how you articulate your value. See, now they know how I am different from everybody else. And those are concrete reasons, not just to hire us, but also to command higher fees, because I'm doing more. When you do the bare minimum, that is when people are going to accuse you of needing to adjust your fees, to discount your commissions. But when you produce value and you articulate it well, rather than ask you to hit you up on your fees, it's a completely different experience, because they know and feel as though they are working with an expert and professional. And so their demeanor, their attitude is very different when they're working with a professional. Let's take a look at the second one that I shared, which is education, right? Educating our clients is a great way for us to get recognized as an expert or to be placed into the position of an expert, an authority in real estate. I mean, who would provide education into the market, education into the real estate process, education into what the market's doing? That is an expert. And that's why we want to use education to be able to articulate our value. One of the ways that we like to use education in articulating a value is also in our pre-listing packet, but in a slightly different way. So within our pre-listing packet, I have links to a series of videos that are videos that answer questions that I know that seller already has. An example would be, how we market your home. Another one would be how to get your home ready for sale. Another video might be our pricing strategies that we're going to use to be able to generate, find those buyers. And so what we do is we have links to videos, and these videos, like I said, are ones that they have an interest, but the whole point of the video is to build rapport when we're not there, right? So what happens is we put a link to the video in our pre-listing packet. Chances are they're going to watch some of the video, maybe not all of it, but some of the video. And so a few things happen. One is a bit of affinity or at least familiarity gets developed because they're watching a video of us. They're watching a video of me and they're getting to know who I am, okay? And so that's important. But going a step further is in the video, all we're doing is educating. We're sharing our knowledge. We're sharing our expertise. Well, isn't that part of why people hire us in real estate? In fact, isn't that why all service professionals are hired? In part is based on the knowledge, the skills, and expertise that we have. This is true in real estate. This is true of tax professionals, financial planners, right? So what we want to do is if we can educate people on things that they're already interested in when it comes to real estate related topics, we get to really amplify our position of authority in their minds and through their experience. But we're also articulating our value, because what happens is now they get a sense of what it's like to work with us. Why? Because they're experiencing our expertise, which is what they will experience when they're working with us to either buy or sell a home, is they're relying on our experience and our expertise as real estate professionals to be able to navigate and land to certain outcomes. Again, this is how we can articulate our value without actually having to do anything other than to produce a video that articulates your value day in, day out, but we're sending it to our client, in this case, our seller clients, before the listing appointment. It makes it a point that we should probably have these videos out and available everywhere all the time, because articulating our value can be a form of marketing, which actually leads me to the third thing I want to talk about. So we talked about tools, we talked about education, and we like to use videos. Heck, even the listing presentation itself, we're educating them about the experience and what's going to happen. But the third thing is marketing, right? The third point is marketing. And we can use marketing to educate our clients on the value that we bring to the table. We can use marketing to give them the concrete reasons that they need to hire us, and even give them the concrete reasons they need to hire us and pay a premium in doing so, because they can't see themselves working with anybody else. And so what are some things that we can do in our marketing to be able to articulate our value? Well, the first thing is I highly suggest that you deliver real estate related value in the form of marketing, whether this is through social media, whether it's through videos, whether it's through emails, whether it's through blog posts, or all of the above. But I highly recommend providing real estate related value on a consistent basis, because if you do it inconsistently, it doesn't work. But on a consistent basis, if you can provide real estate related value, and I'll show some examples in just a moment, what's going to happen is when they think of real estate, they'll think of you. And when they think of you, they'll think of real estate. Isn't that part of our value proposition? Isn't that part of articulating our value? Is that, remember, I'm in real estate, right? I'm not just a person who shares cat videos. I'm actually somebody who can help you with real estate. And if we want them to think of real estate, we have to provide real estate related value on a consistent basis. Now, you could just get onto your marketing or a video and just start talking about how awesome you are in real estate, But I find providing real estate related value is a more effective method of marketing than just beating your chest in the marketplace, because it gives them something that they want. It answers questions that the consumer has. It gives them something that they want. And therefore, it puts you into the position and attitude of service, which as a service professional is a very healthy position to be in. And so because we're educating and because we're articulating our value, and if we add that and make that our marketing can be very effective in articulating our value. In fact, one of the things that we recommend is the 5-step real estate marketing system that we invented. The 5-step real estate marketing system is simply it's a method of being able to communicate and articulate value on a consistent basis every single month, so that you can get those recommendations and referrals, so that you can get business from your sphere of influence, right? The people who know you and the people who know the people who know you, so that you can get more repeat customers and you continue to amplify and increase that reputation, which according to the National Association of Realtors is the number one determining factor that sellers use in choosing their listing agent. So my question to you is, what are you doing purposefully to develop that reputation? Your reputation is the sum series of all the reasons why people need to hire you, right? And you need to be very purposeful about the reputation that you have. Otherwise, it's organic, right? It might be missing some really important features, right? Like real estate may not be part of your reputation. That's a bit of a problem. You could also have negative aspects of your reputation if you're not addressing it. So for example, if you never talk about the fact that you have the ability to be an effective negotiator when it comes time to negotiate a deal, then they don't know you're a good negotiator. Well, because part of our value is to negotiate the terms of the deal, it's important that they know that we are effective negotiators. Well, that should be included in our marketing. Now, I'm going to share with you, sharing negotiation tips is a better way to inform people that you know about negotiation than just saying, hey, I'm a good negotiator. So you sharing tips on how to negotiate in other aspects of life, even not just in real estate, will help someone understand and know that, oh, Chris is a good negotiator. When it comes to taking care of the deal, that's something that I know he can take care of. That's also why, I talk a lot about marketing real estate marketing. Why? Because that's part of our value proposition is in marketing real estate. And so they know, because we're always talking about it and we're always sharing tips about it, that they must be good at marketing real estate. So our 5-step real estate marketing system is simply a way to be able to deliver real estate related value on a consistent basis every single month, every single week, right? Day in, day out, your value is being articulated. And in fact, what happens is this is a lead generation model, far more effective than buying leads, far more effective than cold calling and doing the grunt work of hard prospecting. This is a method to use marketing to generate listings. This is a method to use marketing to generate those opportunities. And yes, it articulates your value, but at the same time, it does so much more. And so if you are sitting there wondering, hey, I want to do more than just sell 3 homes this year, right? Because that's the 5 million homes almost 5 million homes that will sell this year, divided by the 1.5 million realtors, right? That's a handful of deals we each get. You're going to need more than that to survive, right? Unless you're part-time. But if you're full-time, if this is your career and you're career-minded, you're going to have to do more than 3 deals to survive, unless they're like $30 million deals or something like that, right? And so for most of us, what we're going to have to do is we need more than that. And it all comes down to getting good at articulating your value. And if you need some tips on how to articulate your value, I highly encourage that you check out our website, our blog. We actually do a lot of training and webinars on how you can articulate your value. Just go to thepaperlessagent.com and there's more tools and resources there. And if you like what we've been talking about, if this has any benefit, if you feel like you could benefit, or another friend or somebody that you know could benefit from articulating their value better, then please share this episode with them. Like, comment, and share the episode, and we'll see you in the next episode of The Chris and Garry Show.